Hello and welcome to the Famalam podcast. Toby and I are here with Luke Smith today to do kind of a second parter of the conversation Toby and I had a few weeks ago about what it means to raise boys as followers of Jesus. Toby and I did a thing that was inspired by John Tyson's Primal Path, and we had a conversation about that. So if you haven't listened to that episode yet, then do dive in and listen to that. And the reason, Luke, we wanted to chat to you is because I remember talking with you about it a number of years ago, and you being sort of inspired and telling me, right, you're going to give it a go. And I thought, what a great way of checking in and seeing how it goes by having you on the podcast. So thanks for being here. Tell us a bit about those people who don't know who Luke Smith is. Tell us a bit about who you are, what you end up doing during the day, and a bit about your family life too.
Sure. Yeah. Hi. Thanks for having me on. A great honor. And I've been really inspired by seeing you guys as a family talk about these kind of things. I think it's just so helpful. It's a great honor to be here. And I guess, so for me, life looks like I'm married to Hannah, and we've got two boys, Morgan and Aaron. They are currently 15 and 13, and we live in York, where we're involved in leading a church. Hannah leads our church, which is called G2. And we've been doing that for 21 years. Started it in 2005, just before we got married. So that's defined most of our married life. And I lead the Fusion team in England and Wales. Fusion is something that helps students to find hope in Jesus and home in the local church. So I love all of that sort of stuff.
That's so good. And how long have you been doing this journey with the boys then? Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I can remember praying that God would give us children before having kids. And I do a retreat day once a month where I just spend time with the King. You know, lots of people work in the kingdom, but forget to spend time with the King. So just have a day once a month to just sit with him and spend time with him. And I remember chatting with Jesus going, I really love to be a dad. I think it'd be quite a good dad. So that would be great one time, And so in terms of when did the journey start, I do think it actually starts before you become a dad. It did for me anyway. And then praying about the kind of lads I would love to have, or daughters. We didn't know. We've just had two sons. We didn't know where that would go. And then through Everton, I can remember holding Morgan on the first night we had him home from the hospital kind of thing. And I can just remember saying to him, I'm going to try and show you that this world is amazing. You are going to be able to do all sorts of amazing things. And I did this for Aaron as well. But the reason I said to Morgan particularly is that I was becoming a dad for the first time and just going to be the great privilege to be able to share with you what an amazing world we have. That's certainly the kind of stuff my dad did for me. And so I can remember thinking when they were little, I hope I can pass that on to them and give to them all the gifts of God that we have before us. And then at bedtime when they were little, I used to say to them every night from when they were very small all the way until the stage that I didn't used to tuck them in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I used to say to them, we'd pray together or something like that, read a little bit of a Bible story or something like that. And then I would say, you are good, loved, and safe. And I used to say that every single night, because I felt like those are like three things that everyone needs to know. You're actually made good. When God made people, he said, that's very good. So when he's looked at you, he's gone, that's very good. You're made in the image of God. You are good. You are loved. Like there's nothing you can do to run away from God's love. And there's nothing you can do to make me or mum not love you. Like you're just totally, it's in the bag. I remember the boys going, even if we commit a crime, and they're like, even if we're in jail, even if that happens,
please don't let's find out. But yes,
exactly.
It'd be better not
no
to
matter
try.
What happens, you're good, you're loved, and then you're safe. Like you're actually safe. There are dangers in the world. We're going to go on adventures. There's risks to be taken, but you are safe, knowing that this house is good. This house is safe. You've got a safe base from which you can go and take adventures and take risks. Because that's attention, isn't it? But especially when they're little, I just want to know you're good, you're loved, and you're safe. And I actually think all people need to know those things.
Yeah,
that's so good.
So the idea of being an intentional father, like John Tyson wrote this stuff up in his book, The Intentional Father. The idea of being intentional really for you started a long, long time.
Yeah.
Before you even thought, right, well, let's and think about what it is to grow our boys as teenagers. What stage are they at now? You said they're 15, 13. So what are you trying to build into them now they're at that?
Well, I can remember chatting with you about what a nightmare Toby was to parent. And so you were like, giving me no, not at all. But I do remember you saying about this primal path thing. John Tyson, I think, had spoken somewhere at New Wine, hadn't he? Or he'd done something, you'd become pals, you'd like got connected, and he'd spoken about this fathering thing. And I was like, that was amazing. Because I'd just done it off raw instinct, I suppose. And I'd read a fair amount of stuff to do with male initiation, male rites of passage, because working with students, they're at that stage of becoming an adult, and we probably lost the male initiation rites, which exist in most cultures, and have done in almost every culture ever, apart from Western civilization, which is a concern, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And probably in some of the most well-known world leaders that anybody could think of, you're probably looking at an uninitiated man. Anyway, so I think I'd done a bunch of reading on that, whether it's Richard Rohr or a bunch of other things like that. And I kind of just was going off instinct. Then I came to you and I'm like, this is what I need. Some kind of program, the intentional father thing sounded great. But by the time my lads were getting towards that age, and I started to look at it, John Tyson had done what all good Americans do and monetized it up to the eyeballs. So I read the book Intentional Father for £9.99, which is what I could afford, rather than doing the online course. And by the way, that's not a slight or a dig or whatever. It's just the reality. I just couldn't. They are great at monetizing things, and I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So I read the book. And actually, it was fantastically helpful alongside chatting with you, Gareth. And so that set me up to then do a week with each lad before they became a teenager. So I did it in the summer when they were 12 and a bit, before they became 13. And the whole idea of it was to just go, you are not yet a man, but this is welcome to the journey of becoming a good man. That's how I like to set it up. So there's not pressure to like be a man yet, but you are going to become a man, and this is welcome to the journey of becoming a good man. So each of them was different with Morgan, and that's worth just pausing on probably just to say both of my lads are completely different. So the retreats didn't look the same, because it wouldn't have fitted.
It's great.
With Morgan, we started it by we went to the Open, as in the golf. Both of us play golf. Aaron doesn't play golf and is not at all interested in sport. So that wouldn't have worked. So Morgan and I went and watched the Open. It was at Royal Liverpool, and it was absolutely peeing it down. So we got soaked. Great fun, nevertheless.
Glorious.
So we watched that, and then that night we went to the Lake District, and I'd borrowed a friend of mine. He has like a holiday house for a week and stayed in the Lake District, and then went and did things every day, like activities. And each day there was a lesson that I wanted to share from my life. I was like, thought about this. I want to pass this on to you. These aren't all this isn't all you're ever going to need to know, but these are key lessons from my life that I've learned that I would like to pass on to you, and that I think you need to learn, having thought about what you're like. And then we'd cook something together, or like get a meal that would discuss it as well over that. I'd share stories that backed up that lesson, and then we'd either listen to a piece of music or watch a film that backed up the same message. So it was like that day was all on that theme, or we'd do an activity that backed up that theme. Morgan is super teachable. Every day he said, I can't wait for tomorrow's lesson. I don't want to know it now, but I also don't want to know it now, because I like waiting, and I like the excitement of waiting for what it's going to be tomorrow. A key moment from that one, there was in their garage, they got a table tennis table. So we played a bit of table tennis, and I was way better than him. That's not a brag. It's just like to tell the story. It's relevant. Right? So I'm way better than him, and he's really competitive, and he's getting really annoyed. It's just like, this is so annoying. So I went, I'll play left-handed. So that leveled the playing field. But I'm still better than him. I'm playing left-handed. He's like doing this right hand, but I kept beating it. And I'm thinking, I just sensed in that moment, this is the key moment. This is going to be one of those formational moments for him. So I'm like, do you want to stop? He's like, absolutely no way. I'm going to beat you.
Come on.
So I'm like, all right, let's carry on then. So we keep going. I'm like, do you want me to go easy on you? And he's like, no way. Bear in mind, I've already gone left-handed, so I'm like, go a little bit easy. But I'm like, okay, I won't back off. So we're games to 11. I get to like 16-0 up in games, right? and he's gone to like he got to about 9-8 up at one point, and he may have even had a match point.
Come on, I'm backing Morgan right now.
Yeah, this is great.
I know, but then he didn't manage it.
Oh.
He was gutted again. So it's like 17-0, 18-0. By the time he got to 21-0 on the 22nd game, we're like back and forwards, and he manages it. He falls to the floor in a slump and wept. And I was just like, oh, this is a moment. So I just went over and held him. I was like, well done. Well
That's
done.
amazing.
That's so good. And he was absolutely in bits. So we went in and we had a cup of tea. He's always loved a Yorkshire tea. So we had a cup of tea. And I was like, let's just chat about why that mattered so much. And then he just like opened up about wanting to prove himself, wanted to be better, wanted to be a brilliant person at everything he ever does, and how he battles for strength. Anyway, it's just like we've talked about it a lot since, but it was just one of those memories, when you're like, I just knew if I go easy on him or just go, let's just say you won, that would have been a killer. He had to earn that moment, and he did. And then you needed to know he was celebrated, and I wasn't going to be like, oh, well, who cares? It doesn't matter anyway. It really mattered, and it needed celebrated.
Love that.
I always found it crazy how just some of the smaller things, like a table tennis match, even though if it was me and Dad, I would have smashed Dad straight away.
Outrageous.
But even the smaller things always sparked bigger conversations, like you were just saying, and I always found that quite impactful during like my time as well with Dad. What would you say that your boys find most enjoyable in their times with you? And I guess as well, what do you enjoy most about it as well?
Yeah. Well, I asked Aaron recently. We had a day together, and I was like, "Why do you reckon it matters? Why do you think father-son time matters?" And he was a bit floundered, and he was a bit like, "I don't know. It's a bit deep question." So I'm like, "Okay, fair enough. Let's change the question. How do you feel when we have time together?" And he was like, "Feel safe, feel seen, feel understood." And so I'm like, I think that is why it matters. And in answer to your question, that's why they love it, I think.
Yeah.
They feel like they matter, they're noticed. My dad used to say to me, one of his catchphrases was like, "I'm your number one fan." He always used to say that. Whatever it was, he'd be like, "I'm your number one fan, you're absolutely brilliant." And so I've tried to say that to them. And I think that they need that. People need that. But from my lad's perspective, they need that. And I learn from them a lot. I learn from how they see the world, whether that's that they see it in a simpler way and a purer way than I do, or whether it is just a different perspective. Or sometimes it's more like in fathering them, the gift is that I see how the Father God sees us. So like an example was when Aaron was little, he still has a right good temper on him. But when you're a toddler and you've got, he'd be thrashing about, and sometimes he would have such a big temper tantrum and thrash about that I'd be like, "You're gonna hurt yourself here," because there's like, flailing around the kitchen or something. I'm like, "You're gonna whack your head into the," when kids are at that height, when the kitchen table is like, I'm thinking,
the corners are right there.
Oh, the corners, yeah, you're gonna do some damage. So sometimes I would like hold him and hug him and go, "Everything's all right. I know you're really cross, but everything's okay." But like really loosely, almost to create like a perimeter. Anyway, a boundary to kind of just sort of like thrash around in here. But I'm not like hugging him tight. So I'm just like this. And then he's like thrashing away going, and then he was like, "You're hugging me so tight. You're hurting me." He's like, "You're hurting." So then I'm like, I'm not hurting you. But I was like, "You're thrashing so hard that you're hurting yourself." And then I was like, I felt the Lord say to me, "You do that. Like,
wow.
I don't hurt you. But sometimes you are just giving it so much of this that you actually hurt yourself." God's fatherly embrace is always tender. He always holds us. He's not going to squeeze us to bits, is he? But he's like, does give us that room to be angry. And there's a place for it, isn't there? We need to do that. But at the same time, sometimes we do ourselves some damage by it. So that's what I mean. It's a gift to be taught by them.
Yeah. What
That's
does it
awesome.
What does it look like in practice then, Luke? Because you got two boys, different ages, different stages. Like with Toby, I did one more. I did 15 minutes every morning, Monday to Thursday, roughly. Yeah. That's what our aim was. What does it look like for you? You talked about how you started it. You said you had a day with Aaron recently. So talk us through the practicalities of how you're trying to invest in your boys in an intentional way.
Yeah, it is more sporadic than that. It is one of the challenges for me is it would be very easy for me to spend loads of time with Morgan and less time with Aaron, purely because we both play golf. So then that's we play once or in the summer twice a week. So that's 2 4-hour rounds. Like there's quite a lot of diary time in there. Yeah. So then I have to be more intentional to spend time with Aaron, who's into gaming, computer gaming, which I'm not at all. Like never was when I was little. I never had anything like that. Just not bothered. I'd rather be outside. Yeah. So to learn about his world is more hard work for me. I don't want an excuse for that. You know what I mean? It's just like I could be lazy and not find out about what he's doing on Blender, which is the 3D graphic software that he's learning how to animate things. But I'm being intentional to watch it, to learn it, to find out how he does it. It's like so complex how to make animations. It's impressive, but it's not like interesting to me, I suppose, in the sense that I'm not motivated by it already. So doing that is just an interest in him. But then we go for some walks, like evening walks. He's always better when we're walking rather than sitting in opposite each other intentionally having a deep chat. Morgan's much more happy with that. I think sitting next to each other, looking at the same view is better for him. He's more of an explosive person. And then we do Bible and brunch together as a family. So we do, that's the four of us. That's the four of us. I'd say the interesting thing with the shift that happened on the Intentional Father Retreat, it was kind of different for Morgan than it has been for Aaron. There's a thing around the mum and a bit of a breaking of the strength of relationship with the mum. And most people have a very strong bond to their mum. This is assuming people have a mum and a dad. And I totally recognize that isn't everybody's journey. Yeah. That is not everyone's reality, fair enough. But if that is the case in an ideal world, someone's going to grow up with a really good mum who essentially teaches them the world is a good and a safe place. And then, so we did this in both instances of the retreat. The day before, Hannah took them out for a meal and basically talked through their life, thanked them for all that they are, and gave them a gift that represented something about their relationship that she wanted to honor, and then was like, I'm not going anywhere, so you're not going to get any left of me, but you probably you've mainly looked to me to come to me to solve problems, talk things through, figure things out, and you need to primarily now look to your dad to learn how to be a good man. Try and look at that example. Wow. But I'm not going anywhere. So just in the same way that your dad has been here the whole time, I'm still present, but as a primary person to look to for the next stage of your development, you need to primarily look to him. And with Morgan, he absolutely did that. Like it was an overnight shift, and he just doesn't ask her for advice. He always texts me for advice. He'll just say, I need to talk.
You're the go-to person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What I would say with Aaron is that hasn't quite happened in the same way. And everyone's different and journeys are complex. Aaron's got ADHD and PDA, pathological demand avoidance, but struggles to follow instructions and all that sort of stuff. And he does need more attention in that emotional support way. So he doesn't just come to me.
But the permission's there, I guess. That's what you're setting up in that transition period. Like you need to be a man, and I want to do that. And I suppose having Hannah say that is really powerful.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say, Dad, we've had chats about this. I can't remember which podcast, but there's a shift when you're going from a child to a teenager is when you're sort of dependent on your mum, and then you go to your dad. And the fact that you're sort of naming that and bringing it to light for your boys to know it, that's really quite powerful.
Yeah. I think it was the interview with Phil and Danny Knox.
Yeah.
Danny was talking about it, and really interesting to process what that looks like for the mum if you are going to do that. So Hannah obviously had to be up for it as well.
You got to be together on that. And then I would say when Morgan and I played golf together, it's quite a nice kind of analogy or a picture of how we've journeyed in that both of us are golf nuts. So we'll play golf and we'll go in the wind and the rain and the shine. If the course is open, we'll play in snow. We'll just take a yellow ball. Often it's not open, but we'll basically play in anything, and we just love being together out on the course. He gets quite frustrated when he doesn't play well, like similar picture to the table tennis. If he's not playing well, he's in growing up has often found that pretty frustrating. I mean, it is an annoying sport. It like winds you up if you
Tell me
can't.
about it.
Especially when you're not very good, Luke.
Luke,
Yes.
if you were on a golf course with me and Dad, you would be absolutely horrified. We are so bad at golf. It's quite shocking.
I took up golf specifically to own what it feels like to be bad at something. Because I realised in my life, basically only tried to do things that I knew I was good at. So I was like, I need to learn what it's like to just embrace not being good at something and learn. And so I did it as a character study in myself. Oh my days, it's the most frustrating game I've ever played. I'm so bad at it.
But such fun.
It is so fun. It's so compelling because every so often you hit something and you're like, I can do this. If only every hit was like that, I'd be amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it is. So I think it's character building stuff. It's
100%.
It's hard work. So there was a while where we hadn't played an 18 holes where he hadn't at some point welled up a bit or just got like a bit teary or a bit annoyed. But there was a nice little moment. This is probably a year or so ago. So he's like probably 14, I reckon. And he is tall. He's now 6'3", so he's much bigger than I am. And he certainly was bigger than I was then. He was taller than me then. So he comes over and he was like, Dad, I know I'm probably a bit too big for this, but I'm just really cross with myself. I think I just need a hug. Can I just have a hug? So I was like, yeah,
that's great.
So
what a legend.
Hug, and he was like, thanks, that'll do.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
It's great, like emotional intelligence, isn't it? Just know that you need a little bit of, and he's not really a huggy person, so that's why it's kind of special. He's like, just need a bit of connection here.
Yeah, well,
yeah. But I guess the analogy of playing in anything is like we'll spend time together in anything, and I'm like that with the boys in that. I hope that's a good metaphor, in terms of I'll go through anything with you.
That's so good.
And if you need a hug on the way, then let me know. But I'm not going to impose that.
Yeah,
they're probably at that stage.
So, Luke, have the boys ever asked you any questions that have kind of surprised you or taken you back? And how did you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely yes. As a one-off answer, yes, that happens all the time. Them asking stuff where I'm just like, wow, I don't know how to respond to this. Right from the roguest questions when they were really small, question asking is pretty big in our family. We've made a big effort to teach them to ask great questions, which is a rare gift, I think. It stands out. Yeah. Most people can't do that. And now more into sort of theological questions and existential questions. And like, I think some of the hardest questions or hardest moments are when they really hold up the mirror to who you are. I do a golf TikTok, and at the moment I'm like trying out TikTok Shop and selling a bunch of different stuff on TikTok Shop, and it's going quite well. But Aaron's just going, Dad, do you think that this is becoming a bit of an addiction for you? And
wow.
I'm like, maybe. I don't know. I hadn't thought about it, if I'm honest, and that's a bit of a shock because I should have done. So there's a bit of mirror holding up, and then I guess stuff like when we share about church leadership and within my role as Fusion as well, I will talk to them not about like confidential information, but more broadly like how we're leading, because I want them to not just feel, well, we parented them over here, and then we did our job such as ministry over there, but like for it to be a holistic thing, and where it's appropriate for them to have insight into that, they can understand and like be able to say, this is a really big week for your mum because of these things that that's going on. So like, what can we do to really help support her because it's a big week for church or whatever it is? So that means then they can ask questions about it. That's some of the tougher stuff, I reckon, when they're like, why don't you have a bit more patience for that person? Because don't you think they're probably doing the best they can? And you're like, yeah, but they're really annoying. Or what? So that's been pretty. Oh, you know what's helpful as well is just reminding me. We read Patrick Lencioni's book when they were small, 3 Questions for a Frantic Family, and that has been super helpful for us. And we used to go through that pretty much every term. We would write a new rallying cry. And that's a great book I would recommend to anyone, particularly if you do feel, wait a minute, life as this family is pretty frazzled and frantic. It helps you get the reins back, basically, and you work out these defining objectives that are always true for who you are. The things like one-to-one time with each of the lads is a defining time. Reading the Bible together is a defining. We always want these to be objectives that should always happen.
Yeah.
But then you can go, but for this next season, our rallying cry is this. So, for example, it might be when Aaron got his ADHD diagnosis, we're like, that's our priority, is figuring that out as a family.
Wow.
Or it might have been when Morgan started secondary school for the first time. Or it might have been when Hannah took on leading G2 as a senior leader. And we're like, for now, this is our, like, as a one family, this is our rallying cry. And so therefore we've got seasonal objectives based off that. And that has been very helpful. Can you hear my dogs, by the way? I've got 2
a little
dogs
bit, but magic audio might clean them out.
Our dog barks ridiculously.
He's very quiet right now. He's asleep just down there. I don't know if you can see him.
Good lad, Mattley.
Well done, Matt. He usually makes an appearance, so don't worry.
Well, our dogs will definitely make an audible appearance if that's the thing. So yes, in more recent years, we haven't actually written it out quite as specifically, but we've got the language to be able to name it then and go, for the next few months, let's just own the fact that we need to nail this as a family. We'll make choices, therefore, in the diary and whatever that will mean we can't do everything that we used to the previous season.
Yeah, you know what you say yes to. Wow.
Yeah.
So I've not heard of this. Say again what it is so that those listening, watching can get that if they want it.
It's called 3 Questions for a Frantic Family by Patrick Lencioni.
Fantastic.
Like a lot of Patrick Lencioni's books, it's like an allegory that the first half of it you listen to, it's a story or you read it. It's like a story, and then he applies the principles afterwards.
Yeah.
But you've probably already picked most of them up through listening or reading the story.
Yeah. So good. So what about when it's hard, Luke? What parts of this feel difficult, or are there bits that feel awkward to you as a dad, walking your boys intentionally through teenage life? What's hard? What's awkward? Difficult? What's
hard is I have a job, which means I travel, and sometimes I feel I'm away at key moments I needed to be there. And there's not, you didn't know they were going to be key moments. They're not like obvious key moments, but there's not a lot I can do about that. An example would be I was due to be in a conference in Portugal. There's nothing I could do about it. That was like booked a year in advance or something like that. And then they announced the dates for Aaron's show. He was in the school show. In that particular one, he was in the fifth act. He was one of the gangsters.
Okay.
That's
in the bar. Anyway, but they announced the date, and that's when I'm in Portugal. It's literally just like three performances. I'm in Portugal those 3 nights. So I'm like, no. Anyway, so I wrote to them and asked if I could go to the dress rehearsal. And they were like, well, we don't really let parents in, but like if you can slip in the back, then fine.
Okay.
So I went, and that was actually nice because it was a dress rehearsal. It was chilled, and it meant he could come and sit with me in the bits he wasn't in and tell me about what he liked about the show, and then he would go and do his scene. And then, but it was frustrating because I would prefer to have been for the main thing. But then it's about what can you do intentionally to like add to that.
That's good.
So that's sometimes hard, I think. I think I'm pretty comfortable with difficult conversations, so I don't think I really find that awkward. Things that are hard to navigate, where I'm a bit of a problem solver and have to go, yeah, you don't fix this. But we've certainly learned the language of what do you need from me now? Do you need to be heard? Like with Aaron, we use this a lot of, do you need to be heard, or do you need help thinking of solutions? And we use that a lot. And that's really helpful to him because quite often he'll just be like, I just need you to get what I'm saying. That's it.
That's good language.
I like that.
Equally, it does mean sometimes he is like, I literally don't know what to do. I need a solution. But then at least he's asked for it. So that's been really good. But I think some of it, I just enjoy it. It's a privilege. So I wouldn't say I like find it really hard. Maybe it's Hannah and I can find it a little tricky sometimes of knowing who's, just making sure we're really on the same page, because we'd have slightly different outlooks on life.
Yeah.
And outlooks on parenting. And often she's done a lot more reading than I have around the ADHD subjects and stuff like that. So in terms of intentionally parenting him, she's like researched a lot more of that. And then I can be like, well, he just needs to like pull his finger out and not be a nightmare, which,
helpful parenting strategy.
Yeah. So completely unreasonable from me. But that can be a bit awkward if we're not quite on the same page.
Yeah.
So
Makes
doing that
sense.
well.
Makes sense.
So, Luke, is there anything you're trying to both model as well as explain to them?
Yeah, because talking the talk is fine, isn't it? But it's so important that you actually walk it out as well. Doing the retreats together that was really helpful. Aaron and I had his retreat before he turned 13, and we went to the west coast of Ireland. So like I said, totally different. Morgan and I went and did quite organised activities in the Lake District. I knew for Aaron, he needed to get into wildness, and I'm half Irish, so he's only a quarter Irish. But there's a bit of the Irish Celtic wildness in him. So we went to the west coast of Ireland. I booked an Airbnb. I was like, I need to get this lad as far away from civilization, I suppose, as I possibly can, and pretty much put a pin in a map. I was like, let's go here. And so we went to Mayo, County Mayo. We went to Belmullet. And then we went about half an hour north of Belmullet on a peninsula. And it's one of those places where it's like a few cottages. And like, you could drive for half an hour and see maybe 5 buildings.
Wow.
So we went there, and then each day did a different activity. And if it's helpful to just sort of hear the lessons, the first one is know where you're from. I really want you to know where your roots are. There's a whole load of stuff that comes around that, just knowing where you're from, where you come from. The second one is just because it's hard doesn't mean it's bad. So embracing hardship and difficulty. So that day we did a big cycle ride, did something that was hard, recognizing when you like want to give up, just because it's hard doesn't mean it's bad. Like there's a whole load of stuff in there. And then how God sees you is more important than how anyone else sees you, including how you see yourself. But how God sees you is more important than anything else. And then the fourth one is just about the most embodied thing we could do. I planned this to be on the worst weather day, which, on the west coast of Ireland, you get some bad weather. It's just going to happen. It's the wild Atlantic way. And I was like, I'm looking at the forecast going, I'm going to do this lesson whenever it's the worst weather. And we went, and it was about 50-mile-an-hour winds, and it was raining. And we went and stood on the most rocky kind of outcrop. We found this rocky kind of volcanic rock, and it's all spiky and sharp rock, that kind of thing. And went and stood on that, and the waves were smashing into the rocks. Aaron's like, so I'm just going, look at God's creation. Like, it's wild, isn't it? You need to know, the lesson today is God is wild, and he's wilder than you, because he, with his ADHD, usually feels like he's the wildest person in any room. And he has often said, I feel like most of the time the world can't cope with me. Like I'm too much. I know I'm too much. Like I've got too much energy for most rooms. I've got too much like ideas and like just buzz for most environments. So he's like, I have to keep a lid or a mask on most of the time. So I was like, right now, there's no people for like 10 miles. And it's just me and you and God and his creation. And you don't have to keep a lid on it. In fact, look at God's wildness. It's wilder than you. That sends the feeling like you're in the palm of God's hand, and there's sort of no safer place to be then. And I'm like, it doesn't matter how crazy you think you are, or your ideas are, or how big your dreams are, or whatever. They're not as big as him. And that's in a good way. Like you can just be safe in that. So then we talked about the whole wild goose chase and whatever, the wild goose of the Holy Spirit, the Celtic imagery for the Holy Spirit. And then whilst we're standing in the rain and the wind, watching this wave smash into the rocks, I was like, let's go a bit closer to the sea and like, let's get it so that the waves will on you, like it literally hit you on the face. And he's like, I don't really feel safe. So I was like, good. So I was like, and I'm thinking, there's literally no chance. We're like 20 feet away.
Yeah.
The wave is not we're not going to die.
Yeah.
But he felt a bit like maybe we were. So I'm like, okay, that's good. But even though you feel like that when there's a risk, you're actually totally safe in the hands of God.
Yeah.
And you can trust me in this moment to know, like, we're not going to die. I've been around enough waves to know we're not going to die. There's not going to be a tsunami. We're going to be all right. But then he was like, look, so I said, look at the waves and how they're swerving around. What does it make you think of? And he goes, you couldn't have scripted this better. He goes, it's like they're angry, but in a good way. And I'm like, yeah. And then I just held the silence, which for me is so I just fill silences. And then he went, I guess that's what God's like, isn't it? Like sometimes he's angry, but in a really good way. So then we talk about justice and like his heart for, homeless and those people who are trafficked and whatever. It led to a completely different place that he needs to go to in his discipleship because he is a firing person that needs purpose and he's going to need to do something like that with his life. But it got us there because we were embodied, I suppose, and we did it rather than just talking about it. If we'd have just sat there and I've said, oh, God is wild, he's wilder than you, and like here's conceptually, here you go, he would be like, right. But then you never forget the waves.
Yeah.
You never forget the anger in the waves, and then that's how God is. That's his image for God. Is this sort of like
amazing.
Swirling, raging, but safe and good at the same time. So, yeah,
love that.
Oh, the final lesson.
Oh yeah, final
those who just need to know
the completion.
Just for completion, was your words are more powerful than you think. And so, and that day I gave him like a really good, like pen, like expensive kind of pen, and a book, being like your words have the power to destroy. Your words also have the power to build up and to make somebody feel seen and heard and all those things. And like you choose how you use your words, but whatever you gotta know, they're more powerful than you think. That was the final lesson.
So good. So good. I love that, Luke. It was really inspiring and perhaps hoping that it will inspire some dads who are listening and thinking, well, maybe I could do this or that or the other. Probably some parents listening going, you did what? Taking them out of place. So let's, as we bring things towards a close, some quick takeaway questions. What's one small thing that any dad listening could start doing this month?
Great question. I think I would encourage, if you're doing not that intentionally with your kids, I would think where can you get interested in something that they're interested in and you're not? How can you be curious about your son? So if you just, I mean, there's loads you could do, but if it's one thing you could do, I would just say, what can you take an interest in their life that you're not personally really invested in? And find out, because then you're going to see something of them and who they really are, and they will feel seen.
So good. What's something dads sometimes might overthink when it comes to parenting their sons?
I don't know something they like a specific thing, but I guess your question is getting at people do overthink stuff, and I agree with that. I think basically you have it in you. If you're a dad, you do have it in you, especially if you have an awareness of who your Father God is. Like even if you don't have in the physical a great dad, and I recognize that's some people's story, but you do have access to a really good Heavenly Father. So I suppose I just think inbuilt into our DNA is the potential to be a great dad. And probably your instincts are going to be pretty good. So I would encourage you not to overthink it. But I'm not quite sure what I would say for the one thing of don't overthink this specific thing, but just don't overthink it.
What tradition do you hope your boys might remember when they're adults?
I honestly do think they're good, safe, loved. You are good, you're safe, you're loved. I think most people need to know that every single day. So I think potentially they will do that with their kids. They still like it. And you know what's kind of nice to finish it on as well? I would go, you are good, you're safe, and you're loved. And I'd explain it. When they got a little older, I would go at bedtime and say, you are, and they would, as I held up my fingers, they would say, I am good, I am safe, I am loved. And then Aaron added on, and he was quite small and cute, and probably kill me for saying this now, but he would go, I'm good, safe, loved, kissed, cuddled, funny, even funnier than Morgan, and funniest member of the family.
That's good.
He love that self-confidence. That's great.
Yeah, even funnier, even funnier.
That's amazing. Right. And finally, what's one thing that you think your sons or sons in general secretly want from their dads?
I think all of us want to be known, and within that is, if you're known, then you're seen, you're understood. I think that is actually just the deep cry of most people, is to be known. Like I said, I play golf. When I look at the golf club, there are female members of the golf club, but mostly it's men. And on a Saturday, there's absolutely loads of blokes in there, all having beers and laughs and whatever. And I guess I just look around and think, I think a lot of the bravado and, that kind of stuff, it's just a mask for the fact that they just want it to be known. And probably that they didn't know how to cope with pain. They've got unresolved pain. And that, that great phrase from Richard Rohr, if you don't transform your pain, you will transmit it. And the pain is a great gift to us in the sense that it allows us to be transformed by Jesus through it, and the man of sorrows. But if we don't do that, we will just transmit it. And lots of fathers just transmit to their kids what the pain that they experience from their dads, or the lack of attention or whatever, affection. And really, people just want to know that they're known, that they matter. And so I think that's what most of us really look for in different ways.
Good. Love that, Luke. Thank you so much for your time. It's been fascinating hearing your story and how you've sought to invest in your boys. I think the key thing is, I know that you have this heart, I have this heart, just to encourage dads, however they can, to intentionally spend time with their kids, particularly their boys, investing in them, helping them, respond to challenge in really positive ways, and calling the best out of them, making them know that they're safe and known and loved is really beautiful. So thank you so much for your time. It's been fantastic talking with you.
It's absolutely brilliant.
I hope this has been helpful for you. Please do like and share, subscribe, and all those things. We'd love to hear from you. It's email hello@famalampod.com or Instagram @famalampod. And we look forward to talking to you next week. We'll see you for that. But God bless you. Bye.
Bye.